Hey funnel builders, Coach Mike here. Today I want to show you how we allocate every single dollar of income that comes into our business, how we always make sure that our business is profitable, and what we do with all of our money. Now this helps with things like pricing. It helps us understand kind of our cash flow and things. The main problem that most funnel builders face is kind of intermittent cash flow, and when money comes in for a project, they're still not really sure about where all that money goes. And if you want your business to be profitable, you have to make sure that you're actually paying your profit first. Now that might sound familiar to some of you, especially if you've read the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. I interviewed Mike a little while back. I'll put the video here and I'll also link it at the end in case you want to watch that. Essentially what Mike's book Profit First talks about is the ability to allocate certain percentages of all income that come into your business, and you can make your business profitable overnight. It literally changed the way that we perceive and view money within our business. And I want to share with you what we do every single time we have any money come into the business. Now, I'm going to go over the dates that we use. I'm going to use some rough estimations as figures. I'm going to show you the exact percentages we use. We do this with Sell Your Service. We do it with our funnel businesses. We do it with other customer businesses as well. We do it with our product-based businesses. It's a really easy way for us to understand every single dollar, make sure that we're profitable, and it also makes sure that we know where all of our money goes and how much budget we've got for expenses. I'm also going to show you what we do when like our expenses bills are maybe too high for the month, if we've had a quiet month, and what we do with that. So the number that I'm going to start with is $10,000. But the idea is that you could be applying these percentages to $1, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million. It actually doesn't matter because it's the percentages that get split out. I'm also going to show you what I do personally with my money as well. But the idea is that 10,000 is a really nice, easy number for us to work with, but you'll see that it technically is the same for every dollar that comes in, or if we had $1 million come in, the allocations would be roughly the same. If it was past $100,000 a year, we would actually be splitting it out slightly differently. But I'm going to show you what we're doing now. Now, this is, like I said, taken from Mike Michalowicz's Profit First book. I don't claim ownership to this idea, but there's a few other books that we've read to do with kind of cost management. Some of this is from our mentors as well, but I'm just going to show you what happens when we have $10,000 come in. So let's say we have $10,000 come in from a customer and we've built them a marketing funnel, and maybe this is $10,000 in total, or this is a $10,000 deposit, or it's a $10,000 a month project. It doesn't matter. 10 grand comes in. Here's the first thing we do. First of all, we put into a separate account 5% of that into what we call our profit account. Now, our profit account is basically, some people call it a SANT, S-A-N-T. Save and never touch. Rob Moore calls it a save and never touch. What that means is that of 10,000 that comes in, 5% of it is guaranteed to go into our profit account. So what this means is that every single month, our profit grows 5% month on month on month, or income on income. So even if we only had 10 grand come in for the month or for the entire year, 5% would go into the SAN. So of 10,000, that means that $500 is going to go into this account. Now this is a separate bank account that we have set up. It's the first thing that comes out, and it goes straight into account. The idea is save and never touch means no one will ever touch this. Now, strictly speaking, once a quarter, we actually divvy out things like bonuses and dividends, and we'll reinvest the money in other areas. But this here, profit, our profit account, basically we don't really touch it. It just grows and accumulates. And yeah, we never, ever, ever take money out of that. And also there's no expenses running through that account as well. It just has money going in. The next thing that we'll do is on the other side is 50% of it. So half of it goes towards us. Now we do actually do this in a very specific order, okay? We do this in a really specific order. First of all, the profit goes, usually what most people do is they'll say, okay, well, income minus expenses equals profit, right? And that's the well-known, that's the formula that your accountant will use. Income minus expenses equals profit. The problem is that's wrong, right? That's incorrect. What it actually should be is income minus profit equals expenses. So what that means, like in Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki says, pay yourself first, right? PYF, pay yourself first. And it means that of any income that comes in, we'll immediately take profit out of that. We'll take our margin out of that first. Now our profit margin might be slightly higher. In fact, usually on 10 grand, our profit margin runs at about $6,000 to $7,000 is the profit margin. But the actual profit we put away is 5%. Now you can have a bigger number, you can have a smaller number. It's irrelevant as long as it's consistent, but 5% is a pretty good place to start. And the idea is whatever we're left with is what we'll spend on expenses. A lot of people, they'll find that they spend all their money on stuff and they don't have any actual profit left over. Instead, we're going to flip that, put profit away. This is all in Mike's book, Mike Michalowicz, Profit First. So yeah, this is basically how this works. 50%, however, goes to personal. So this is personal pay, okay? This is money that comes to me directly, individually as a person. So this will go through to my personal account. If we have 2 people on the project, it'll go to 2 people. So it'll be split. That will be split 50-50. But 50% of it, so roughly 5,000, will be sent to me. Now you can see here immediately how this would affect your pricing model, right? Because what we've got here is this is coming to me, and I immediately start to think, well, if I want to get paid for that, if I'm doing the work, I need to make sure it's worth $5,000 to me. We've got the other things like expenses and stuff coming out still, don't worry about that, but all of this money comes towards me. However, I don't want to do the work, okay? I want to get someone else to do the work, and I'll come into that in a minute. These here are my living expenses. It might be that 10 grand is like a 2-month project, so this 5 grand's got to last me 2 months. It might be that it's a 1-month project, so it has to last me a month. Either way, this is my money. Now, personally, what I do is instantaneously, 10% of it, for me personally, goes into investing. Now, some people might call this saving, some people might call it a pension. I don't have a pension plan. This is my pension, so 10% of that instantly goes in. So again, that is $500 would go into my investing. Now, in the UK, I use a thing called an ISA, okay, which is a type of bank account. I invest in things like stocks and shares. I have a few mutual funds. In fact, actually, that's not true. At the moment, I have 1 mutual fund and 1 stocks and shares company that I invest in. That's all. 10% of it gets put in there. I could even go further into how much goes into funds. Fuck it, I will. Of $500 that comes in, I need to always have 10% liquid as cash. Okay, so 10% liquid as cash. So 50 bucks will always stay cash. The reason why is in my ISA, I want a mix of funds, I want a mix of stocks, I want a mix of cash as well. ISA usually in the UK means it's pretty readily available as cash, so I can withdraw it. There's also tax benefits and stuff to putting it away. But this is what I do. It also means that that number grows every single time. So anytime any money comes in, I'll get some, my investing account gets some, and I'll always keep some as cash in my ISA, because it might be that a really great new fund opens up or a really great new stock and share opportunity comes up. I think, yeah, I want to put some money away in that. I want to have some money put aside and I can buy a load of those shares. And we have done. I bought shares in Nvidia, which is the company that makes the graphics cards. They recently skyrocketed in price because that's what everyone uses to mine Bitcoin. So I didn't mine Bitcoin. I actually invested in the graphics card company and made a pretty sweet profit on it as well. I think I've still got the money in there, but we'll probably sell those shortly because I want to liquidate that and move it into other areas. And then 90% goes into our funds and stocks. Now at the moment, the fund that I'm actually mainly investing in is PEF, which is Plain English Finance. Now this is literally simple. I do it on my phone. I use Hargreaves Lansdown, so HL, as a stock and share trader for me. I have an ISA with Hargreaves Lansdown, and I literally just on my phone say I want to put 100 bucks in PEF. I want to put 200 bucks in, or pounds I should say, in PEF. PEF stands for Plain English Finance. This is from another book written by a guy called Andrew Craig, who's a good friend of mine. He wrote a book called How to Own the World, and he has his own fund. So I typically put 90% of whatever's coming in. Now, we do also split some stuff between things like gold and commodities as well. We have a pretty broad range. That 90%, so that equivalent of $450 gets split across a fund and maybe a little bit in gold as well. But we're only experimenting with that at the moment. I haven't put anything firm away. Coming back to individual, 90% goes on expenses. So these are my personal expenses. So this is my personal budget. This is everything like food, the gym, the mortgage, the bills, everything in the house. Now we have got a budget that we run in our house because I'm like that. And the idea is that all of this money, 90% of that, so about, what's that, 4,500? That goes on our personal expenses. And yeah, we have money put aside and, you know, we spend money on other things, holidays, but all of that money, you'd actually be surprised at how quickly you can go through $4,500 on a household. I'm sure anyone who's got kids knows that. I don't have kids, by the way. Cool, so that's what happens with that 50%. We still have some money left over. We've still got 45 left over. So the next thing that we'll then put aside is 15% goes to tax. Now this is another account, okay? This is another account. So that's $1,500 goes into our tax account and that just stacks up over the time. Now that's kind of what we would use to pay things like in the UK, corporation tax. We're not VAT registered for a couple of our businesses, but if we were, we'd use that as well. 15% is pretty good. We find that even though tax rates are about 20% here in the UK, they can vary between 8 and 22% depending on what products you sell. Ours is 20%, kind of, but we found that our accountants typically get it down to around 15% because they find other expenses. So we find putting this money away means we can just instantly push that out, pay our tax man, and everybody's happy, okay? Which means that 30%, okay, is expenses. Okay, so what this means, this 30% of expenses, now you could change yours could be completely different, but we found that 3 grand, this here is split between our overheads and our project costs. Okay, so the individual project, that might cost us, let's say 2 grand to put together, to hire someone to do it and pay them and with all the resources and stuff, and we might have put 1,000 away on overheads. This here is the last thing that we do, okay? And occasionally we can't pay a bill, okay? Maybe we bought some hosting or bought some software or something. Now, if I was running a really tight budget and if I was slightly better at this, that wouldn't be a problem. But the reality is that some stuff happens and you have expenses come up that you have to pay. If we do, we never, ever, ever take money out of this. This is locked away, okay? Okay, never take money out of that. I will never take money out of the tax account. Ideally, in an ideal world, I would never take money out of this, but the reality is sometimes we have had to. I'm not proud of it, you know, you make mistakes, but I don't want to. I would rather email my suppliers and say to them, look, man, or call them on the phone and say to them, look, man, we're not gonna be able to pay this month's thing. I do want to pay you. I want to pay you everything I owe. Can I pay you a little bit less this month and catch up with it next week? I just want to have a conversation and communicate with them. This here is what will stop you from going into debt, having debt collectors come around and stuff like this. Because you don't want that, because people can, you know, get pretty funny about terms of payment and stuff. Instead, all you want to do is say to them, look, we're shy this month, I'm really sorry, or we'll just cancel it. Some stuff like social media apps and stuff, we'll just cancel. Like, I'm not interested in paying for the sake of, you know, 80 bucks or whatever. I think, okay, I can't be bothered. Now, the only time this has ever come into a contention is when we hired a consultant and their bill was considerably higher than we thought it was going to be. That's my mistake. We had to pay them and we said, look, man, sorry, this is way higher. We're going to pay you. We're probably not going to work with you again, but we're going to pay you. Really, really sorry, but we've got some money problems at the moment. We want to pay you as quickly as we can. Can we work out some kind of plan? If you call people up and have a conversation with them, 99 times out of 100, they're absolutely fine with it. They want their money, and getting angry at you is not going to get them their money any quicker. So that's how we manage our expenses. Now you can see that if this was for 100 grand, all I would do is just add a naught onto all of these. And in total, that's roughly how much everything should be. However, as the numbers get higher than 100 grand, as the numbers get higher from 100 grand, this number goes down, profit goes up, tax goes up, and expenses go up. As this number goes up, if you're getting to like 250,000, it's a different proportion of ratios. It's a very, very different set of numbers. And yeah, this is kind of how we run this. So anyway, that is how I run the books here, essentially. Now, we do have an accountant, we have a bookkeeper as well, who kind of do a lot of this stuff for us. We don't do this every single day. I actually do this on the 10th and the 25th of the month. Those are money days. That's when I allocate money out. So any money comes in, we actually try to hold off. We have an expenses account, so any money that goes in split into our expense account. We have a separate income account as well. So any money that comes in goes into our income account. Let me wipe these off to make sure I don't confuse myself. We have a separate money coming to an income account, and we only have money coming out of our expenses account. And sometimes that will automatically say, oh, you haven't got any money in your account, and we'll have to transfer some. But typically on the 10th and the 25th of each month, that's when we'll move all of our money around, and I just leave it till the 10th and move all our money around, leave it till the 25th. And it means that I build up this pot of expenses, and I want my expenses to be as low as possible. It gives me a really good insight. And also I'd rather have a service cancelled on me than be going to like an overdraft or something, or get eaten into any one of these accounts. So that's how we run it. Thanks for bearing with me. The video was slightly longer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, if you've got any questions, if you've read Profit First, let me know in the comments below. I'm a huge fan. I'll also link Mike Michalowicz's interview below. If you use a system like this or something different, let me know in the comments, and I'll speak to you later. Cheers, guys. Keep building those funnels. Bye now.